All right, do we have sound there? I don't know what's going on with my Yeti. Once again, uh, thwarted by my Yeti. Here's my trusty Yeti, and it's not working. I think the sound is going again. I can see it up here. I totally apologize for that. I usually check that, and this time I didn't. But I hope it's back. Please let me know if you can hear it. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me? Thirsty, Laura, anybody, can you hear me with sound? Check one, check two. I hope so. Let me start where I was at before. The paper that I'm using tonight is Strathmore 400 series. I still have quite a few sheets of this from the huge block of this that I cut down, so I'm still working my way through that. The paints that I have over here are my M-Gram watercolor paints, and I am still holding firm to using my KingArt brushes here. Still like those. I think they're wonderful. Looks like I'm missing a brush. Oh, here it is up here. Like I said, I'm still trying to do some summertime things. One of the things that I always think of in the summer, I just noticed some around here. I haven't seen that many recently, and it's a little disturbing to me, but I love bees, honeybees, bumblebees. I know they sting. I know that they can hurt you from time to time, but God, they're such interesting creatures that I want to paint them. I think what I'm going to do tonight when I get started, I'm going to go ahead and put a background on here. Just a really light background. If you see the reference photo over there, that background is very light. So I'm going to paint my background to match. Very light. And then we'll start layering on some colors. Probably go with these little flowers, and then the stems and the petals on here, and then we'll come in and paint the bee who's closest to us. Anyways, that's my hope. It's my hope that I'm going to be able to do. We'll see how it goes. I think it'll go fine. I hope everybody is having a good evening. I hope everybody had a wonderful day today. My day was busy, and not in a bad way necessarily, just happened to be pretty busy. If you're interested in hearing about my day, I don't know why you would be, I'm not sure, but I'm happy to talk about my day. If you have any questions about anything, any of my arts, any questions about this piece that I'm painting, any questions about my theory of art or why or how I do certain things, please throw it out there. I love answering questions. Laura's saying you've got the sound back. I've tried. I didn't turn it off. I don't know what's going on with. I don't know. I fight computer issues all the time. I'm just thankful you guys are so patient with me, even when I have some technical difficulties. So thank you all for that. I'm just going to get started by. I'm just throwing on a little bit of a plain wash here for my background. I'm not even going to try to be perfect around here with it. Oh, I shouldn't say that word. I don't like that word. It's hard not to use it. It's in our vocabulary, but I'm not worried if I'm slightly inside the line or slightly outside the line. This is going to dry, and this is going to be so light, it's not really going to matter. Highlight of our day was our pickle slushies are back. What? Pickle slushes are back at Sonic? Wait. Pickled. I'm afraid to ask. Pickled flavored slushes. Really? Is that what you're talking about? A pickled flavored I don't even know if I would want to try. I love pickles, but is it refreshing? Thirsty, you gotta talk to me for a second. Are they that good? I have to say, I haven't been at a Sonic in years. We don't have a Sonic around my house. I couldn't tell you when the last time I was at one, but really, a pickled flavored sounds a bit odd to me. I did notice pickled flavored potato chips at my market though, so I can't say too much. And I saw and I saw pickled pickle flavored sunflower seeds. I don't know what was ever wrong with sunflower flavored sunflower seeds, but I saw pickle flavored sunflower seeds. You love them. They had them a few years ago, and they're back for 3 weeks. Steamer pickle slushes. Oh, I don't know. That just sounds so weird. Has anybody else tried the pickle slush? Oh, Bicycle Repairman, welcome. Great to see you. I'm still. Everybody, you're gonna have to give me a second. I don't know. It's gonna take me a while to get over this pickled flavored slush. Here, I'll tell you how kind of. I just said we don't have a Sonic in my town here. Well, we don't have a Sonic anywhere close that I know of. But my town, well, the biggest town around here, anyways, is so kind of weird about things that we don't even have drive-throughs at our fast food restaurants. So if I were even to go to a Sonic, if we had one around here, if I could go to a Sonic to even get a pickle flavored slush, I'd have to go into the store to get it. How about that? How many places are like that they don't even have a drive-through? But here there's no drive-through. That's always been funny to me, but that's the way it is. Bicycle Repairman, you love bread and butter pickles. Oh, I'm with you on that. But it's a pickle. It's a pickle. I used to love to go see my grandmother. She would make bread and butter pickles in the summertime. Oh, they were so good. Maybe I'm gonna have to paint a jar of pickles or something now. All of a sudden, I'm talking myself into it. Oh, pickles are so good. I actually, during COVID, learned how to do some pickling. So I did my own pickling with some of my own cucumbers. How about that one? Over COVID. I thought that was pretty good. I know lots of people took up baking and cooking and pickling and all kinds of stuff. But I saw, Bicycle Repairman says, but I saw somewhere that Res Pickles have Kool-Aid in the jar. What? Okay. All right. Kool-Aid in pickles. That's just, I don't know. It sounds like an unholy union of of cucumbers and Kool-Aid. What kind of Kool-Aid? I can't. All right. I don't. Kool-Aid and pickles. It's not. It's not. There's no pickle flavored Kool-Aid too, is there? Am I missing out on? Have I? Have I been out of society so long? Missed out on a whole pickle trend? Is is that possible? Well, okay. Wait, hang on. Don't answer that question because I'm afraid that everybody's going to say yes. It is possible. You've totally missed out. And I'm afraid that you're all going to be right. you, pro- you probably will be. Forgot I got some little areas in here that have a little bit of this. I'm just going to call it background color. I don't know if it's sky color or what it is, but we also found pickle salsa. They used pickles instead of. All right. All right, that's pickle over the top ish. I will say I like a good bit of sauerkraut, and my wife picked up some sauerkraut from Trader Joe's, and it had pickles in it. And who puts pickles in sauerkraut? I almost didn't eat it. I did, and it was delicious. Well, so America has gone pickle crazy apparently. As soon as I'm done with this, I'm going to show you what America needs to go crazy about, though. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Oh, look, it's gotten a little dry here. I'm trying not to be off screen here. Maybe I need to change my view here just a little bit. If I go off screen a little bit, if I need to change this just a little bit, somebody just shout at me a little bit. Let's get back on camera. All right, I'm going to leave. There's a little bit of something right there. I'm going to leave it. Now, you all know what I'm going to say. America needs to go back to a little ha-ha tang. Look at that. Oh, that's so good. Mmm. Now y'all going to say, how can I make fun of pickles if I'm drinking tang? All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Laura says, I love bumblebees. I recently showed my granddaughter a bumble butt. Okay. All right. We're off the rails and it's early on yet. All right. So I want to do one thing before I move on. I saw a lawn ornament of a Sasquatch attacking. Oh, okay. So now, if we're off pickles and we're on to Sasquatch, I'm with you. I'm there. I'm ready to talk about Bigfoot. I'm always ready to talk about Bigfoot. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I don't want to use black. See, whoa, where's he at? The bumblebees are black. They have black bodies. Do you bumblebee? I don't even know what that means. So I want to see if I can make my own dark. I don't necessarily want a black, but I want to see if I can make my own dark. I'm going to start with a little neutral tint here. I'm going to add to that, first of all, a little bit of this burnt umber. Make sure I'm using the right. And I want to see what color I can come up with this. I don't think it's going to be quite dark enough. Hope you can see I'm just mixing down in the very corner here. And let's see what this color looks like. Okay, that's a nice color. I hope you all can see that. But it's not quite what I wanted. I think that's a good color. Maybe for the wings on that. The wings are slightly different color than the body. So let me do this. Let me wipe this up for just a second. And I want to take some more of this neutral tint. And I want to put in a little bit of sepia in there. Sepia is a much darker color. Somebody said something about my background. Minty, uh-oh. Forget pickles. What people should go crazy about is this background. I know it's like 2 paintings in a row I've done a background. What is going to happen? Fire and brimstone, cats and dogs living together. I don't. I'm not. Oh man, this is much darker. Let's just pull this out and let's see how different this looks. Let's do this. I don't hate backgrounds. I'm just not a fan of them. That makes no sense. Okay, I like this color. I like this. This is a mix of neutral tint and sepia. For the body of the bee, let's do this as a comparison. I think this is just a much livelier color, right, than doing something in blacks. So maybe if we needed to, we could come back and do a little bit extra black. Actually, this M. Graham black is actually a lovely black. As far as blacks go, it's a pretty warm black color. It's actually nice. So I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add a little bit of black to this color we already had mixed here. And let's see, I'll put it down here. It's halfway between these two. And let's see if this is even better. So, yeah, you could say, well, maybe I should have done this before we got started with this whole thing. And I could have just come on and started painting and told you that I did this. But I think this is more interesting. And plus, it's given the background of that painting a little time to dry. So, all right, here we go. So it looks as though if I add these two together, it darkens it down quite a bit. You can see, actually, you can see it, or I can see it better on the video up there on my screen. This is definitely a warmer color. I like to do it like this, then I don't have to touch it. This is definitely a warmer color than my black here. And this black is really starting to granulate over here. It's got a little bit of granulation in this part, but this sepia and neutral tint is just so silky smooth. I love that color. Let's see, I'll hold it up so you can see the difference in those. I hope everybody can see those. And this one is sepia and burnt umber. It's much, much lighter. So I like the black, but I don't know. I do like this. I think I'm going to take this color and maybe put a little bit of this black in it. This will be good for doing some of the shadow areas. Okay, so let's get back. It should be pretty dry now, or pretty close to dry. It's almost dry. It's pretty warm in here. While I'm waiting for it to fully dry, I'll show you how warm it is in the studio. I happen to have my handy dandy thermometer. Look at it, it's 80. It's 82 in here, almost 83. Whew. It's warm. It won't take long to dry at all. So let me do this. I'm pretty much done with this whole background here. So I'm done with that background. I never have to do another background for another 5 or 6 years, I think. Or I don't know. So I want to do a couple of things. I want to get a nice green. I want to get a nice green going. I love phthalo green, so I'm going to make a puddle of phthalo green here. It's going to be not too different than our green background color. But I'm going to change it a little bit. Instead of using, actually I'm still going to use some of it, but yeah, you know what, I do like this. I'm going to take this is Hansa yellow over here. It's a nice cold yellow. Or I love the background. Thank you. Minty's right. I don't do them very often. My theory on a background is if you can paint a background and it's going to substantially add to the painting, then perfect. By all means, put it on there. If it's not going to substantially add to the value of the painting, then let's keep it off and let's make sure your focus is on the subject matter. But here, I didn't think it would hurt if I just threw something on. It's very light. I mean, it's very light. The reference photo, it's very light. So I didn't think it was really going to be much of a burden. So what kind of background am I doing for the pickle painting? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't have any idea. I'm going to take this lighter of the two. The two colors, and I'm just going to brush this on. I should have gotten the middle-sized brush here on this stalk for what I have no idea what this flower is. Oops, I'm off camera. Don't mind me. Somebody just yell at me and tell me I'm doing it wrong and I need to change where I'm at. But I'm going to do this, this is just a straight thing. This is pretty simple to paint on here. I will say the reason I put the background on first is that I knew it was going to be very light, and if I went over the edge of this, my pencil line for this stock, well, so be it. It doesn't really matter. I'm trying to look to see how this is drawn, how I drew this. Yes, this is stock here. It's so light that it doesn't matter. I can paint this over top of it, and I can really make this pop. It's going to be so much in the foreground, and the background is just going to go right up to it. Sometimes I think when you paint and you try to paint to the line, sometimes you leave a little bit of light area, a little bit of white area. Lots of people will go, well, that's okay. That's just a bit of highlight there, right? That's the sun shining off of that a little bit, and I suppose there is some truth to that, but also to me it looks sometimes as though you just didn't paint to where you meant to initially, and it doesn't always look exactly right to me. So when I can, I should have, this is supposed to be green in here. I'll paint a little green in there. I'll paint right over top of that, and nobody will ever notice. Okay, so when I can, I try to paint just over the line, and this is a great application where painting just over that line is really going to help you out. Make this pop and look much more 3D than really it is, just by letting the paint be the paint and do what it wants to do. And I can put just a little bit of dark on here. If it runs a little bit off of where I don't want it to, I can pull just a little bit back there. I'll do it here, and you can see I can pull just a little back, a little dry brush, and it'll pull some of that out of there. Right, and we've got a perfectly good stem with a dark edge down one side. If I pull much, I can drop a little bit more on here, and then I can start to paint these little, I don't know what these are. What do you call these? Not stalks. They're not branches. What are these? Stems. Stems. I can paint these little stems onto this main branch. And if it's dried just enough, then these will stand out in front, and they'll look like they attach to the front of this. If it's a little bit more wet, then it'll blend in with them, and it'll kind of look like it goes on the side or in the back of it. And once again, we can let the paint be the paint and do what we want it to do. I'm looking up and nobody has said anything in a while. I hope you're all mesmerized. It's always, I'll share with you, it's always a little nerve-wracking having had a kind of a checkered past or experience with good internet connection while I'm trying to stream. It's always a little disconcerting when I look up and there are no new comments. I go, oh my God, did my service cut out again? Did I lose connection? And nobody can tell me? Is it doing something wrong? I don't know. All right. There's my stems, a little bit of those. I think they're good on there. They look good. This might look a little dark in here. We can take just a little bit of that off if we need to adjust that color. And then I'm going to water this. Actually, I'm going to let that sit for just a second. And then I'm going to water this down a little bit more. And then we'll come back and we'll paint the petals on here. But while we're doing that, I can mix up a really light, I'm going to use part of this pink, or this is quinacridone rose on my palette. I use it as a pink, and just a little bit of this pyrrole red together and make a really light mixture of paint. Very light. These flowers are very delicate. So where do I want to start with you? Oh, well, let's start at the top, huh? That sounds like a good enough. Thirsty says, how are the chickens? My chickens, for anybody who's here and doesn't know, I am a big, I'm a big, I don't know if I should explain. I'm a big chicken fan. Look, I've got chickens on my shirt. I've got 4 chickens. Pumpkin, Pecky, Priscilla, right? Punky, Peckin, Priscilla, and Betty. It just worked out that way. And I love my chickens. I play with the chickens all the time. I let them out in free range as much as I can. They are egg layers, but they're pets more than anything. And they're doing really well, except for Priscilla. Priscilla's the big, old, mean one. Not mean. Bossy. Let's just say bossy. She's not mean. It started last year. This story starts last year. Here we had a very hot early spring and a very cold late spring. And chickens molt kind of at the end of the year so that they have their new feathers for the winter, or at least they do around here. I would imagine they do it everywhere that way. But given that we had such a weird spring last year, Priscilla molted in the middle of the summer. And then that threw off her timing, and she continued to lay eggs till very late into the fall, later than anybody else. And so again this year, because it's been a year since she molted again, she started molting a couple of weeks ago, and she's mid-process. There are chicken feathers everywhere, and she's got a lot of feathers. And other than her, all the chickens are doing really well. I'm just going to drop a little bit of green on the end of these just to give these a little. You can drop any other color you want on the end of these. It's just a little bit. It's going to push these colors out. Laura says, I will have to do this one next time I paint. Oh, you're going to try to paint this one? Awesome. If you try to paint this one, which I'm sure you can, I have no doubt, yours will probably turn out better than mine. You have the ability to post it in the Discord channel so we all can see it. I would love to see how yours turns out. See how people paint. Lab Accident is not here this week. I didn't see her name here, but man, she posted some paintings there. I don't think I could do them, could draw them like that. I love the mushrooms that she painted. They had such personality on the mushrooms she painted. I know that sounds funny. that sounds funny to say, personality on mushrooms, but there was not the mushrooms I painted. She did some different ones. Laura, you love this one so far. It's fantastic. I'm glad you love it. I hope you love bees. They're fantastic. I will say I got this reference photo from a website called PMP-Art. I've gotten reference photos from them before, and I've talked about them a little bit. Uh, that's a website that was originally, I'll tell you how I got started with PMP art. That's a website that was originally started by Bob Davies. And Bob Davies is a watercolor painter he's a British guy. Actually, he paints in many different mediums. One of them is watercolor. And he started the website, I believe, with a grant that he got. And it was originally called Paint My Picture. Thus the part PMP, and it's, I think the ownership of it has passed from him, but it got started as that, and he had a series of DVDs that he put out, and somebody actually purchased them for me. I don't know if that's a good thing or if that means they thought I'm a terrible watercolor artist. Either way, it was a wonderful thought. So I was like, well, I want to check out his site, and it's all free if you are a how do I say, if you are, I was going to say a creator, but that's not fair. If you do traditional art, then you can use any of the photos that are posted on that site. And if you are a photographer, part of signing up means that you allow anyone to use those photos as references for their own artwork. So I have from time to time, and anybody who goes there, you'll find me there. You'll see some really bad artwork from when I was getting started. And hopefully you find some that's better too. But so I went there and started watercolor painting and posting my stuff on there. And the community that's on there was wonderful and provided a lot of feedback for for anybody, really. All of the other artists, if you ask a question, I'm having a hard time with this, or could somebody explain to me how they do that, then it really works as a nice community. I would love for my Discord community to end up being this way, but it's a fantastic community over there, willing to help you out to learn whatever it is. I only stay in the watercolor section. They do oil, they do acrylic, they do pencil, all kind of anything you really want. They do it over there on PMP Art. So anyways, I found this photo on PMP Art. That's where I got this one. I don't know. I think that's about all of the... I got a spot right... Well, I don't know. I'll fill that in. Got a spot right there I'm not happy with. Fill that in later. I know it seems a little weird to put a green drop at the end of this, but it gives it a little something, I think. That one might have been a little dry. You know, it's just it's not one homogeneous color. It's a small area, and you need to do something to make it look a little different. You know, if you look, where am I going to? Whoa, if you look over there, you can see the ends of these, they're white. Well, I didn't want to drop just a white color on there to move that paint around. So we had green here. We could have just as easily dropped in orange or yellow, would have done just as well. Let's see, Laura says, I love to draw. Been drawing since I was a little girl. I hope you never stop. I tried to get my daughter into drawing when she was a little girl, and she kind of started and stopped, and she's picking it up again, and she's really starting to love it. Do you use pencil or watercolor pencil? I use, since I'm here in the studio, this is all pencil. If I am out doing some plein air painting, depending upon what I have in my pack, I could go either way, really. I was doing some plein air painting last Monday. I think Monday. I had to take my daughter into a teen group that she's a member of. And I had to drive to the next town over where there are no drive-throughs, drop her off, and I didn't feel like driving home because it's, I don't know, it would have been an extra 20 miles or so, 25 miles or something. Well, let's see, 20 would have been an extra 28 miles, so almost 30 miles, had I driven home and then back. And yes, I know it's not a lot, but I was like, well, you know, the price of gas is $5.50 a gallon or so. I'll just stay in town and find something to do. So I chucked a small notepad, a watercolor pad in my book bag and took it with me and sat down and did a little bit of plein air painting. I didn't have a pencil with me, but I did have a watercolor pencil. So in that instance, I actually did use watercolor pencils for my base photo, or whatever you want to call it, the photo. I did it and then painted over top of it. But if I'm here in the studio, I pretty typically just use a number 2 pencil, or this is going to seem really weird. What I really like to draw with are these builder's pencils, and they're a little dark, so I'll go over a lot of times. Oh, with a gum eraser, you can see that one's pretty dirty. But I feel as though with these, they don't feel like a pencil, so my hand is a little disconnected from my brain because I don't have that normal feel that I would get. And so I feel like I just feel like I draw a little better with these. Oh, that's funny. You can't see it's showing the background color up in the corner up there. It's green. You know, there's a green screen behind me. uh, so I just feel like I draw a little better with that. But that's just me. I don't know that I would suggest anybody else try that, um, it seems to work for me. Don Wilcox, the Crafty Visage, welcome. Laura, I kind of thought of that. Nobody ever told me that would ever be a thing, or that I would ever be able to paint better because of this or that, or one thing or the other. But I have the book. And Margaret is here. Welcome. I have the book Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. Is that what it is? Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain? And one of the things they talk about in there is, one of the things they do is they say, oh, try drawing upside down. It disconnects your hand from your brain somehow, and you draw better. And you kind of do. And so I was like, well, okay, let me try this out. I wonder if I used a different pencil, if I'd be able to draw a little better. And it seems to work somewhat. Okay, so here we are. I promised everybody a painting of a bee, a bumblebee specifically, or a honeybee, but I put bumblebee just because. And we are now, where are we at? 40 minutes in, and we haven't even touched the bee yet. But we have had a vigorous discussion of pickles, so, take that for what it's worth. I think I like the pickle conversation. I'm just going to continue to drop in a little bit of this green, and then I'm just trying to give a little bit of, an outline of some, maybe where there's a little shadow, and I'm just using just a very tiny bit of this phthalo green because I'm kind of mad. And I love phthalo green. I just do. Let's see. I have so many. Oh, good, good, good. I am so happy that you have bumblebees. I actually haven't noticed as many bees, Dawn, around my house this year as I normally do. So if you've got plenty, that's fantastic. I wish we had more. I love that bees are so cool. I totally wish we had more bees. Let's see. Oh, look, as this is drying up here. Look, that's a nice little. We could add some more detail in here. If we have time at the end, we'll come in and we'll add a little bit more detail to these flowers. I don't want the flowers to be so much the focus of this, but we probably should add some. Funny, I still feel as though I'm working on my first layer of paint. I'm 40 minutes into this thing. I feel like I'm still working on putting on my first layer of paint on this. Yeah, I don't know why out here it totally seems like I've got fewer bees. They're so active. They get so many nice pics of them loaded. Oh, they get like the big pouches on the sides of their legs, all just filled up with pollen. Um, that is pretty cool. I don't know. Most of animals in nature are really pretty cool. I think we don't often give them enough credit for how cool some of them are. Are we gonna do any more? Oh, I got one more down here. Oh, I got one over here too. Well, these colors might run together just a little bit, but that's okay. So I haven't been totally slacking since I know I didn't put on a stream last week. So, like I said, I haven't been totally slacking. I haven't been totally painting up a storm, I wouldn't say. But I did finish up my baseball mitt. I hope if you want to see that, I hope you can still find it. It's out there in the Discord channel. It's out there. I think I'm pretty sure I posted it to Instagram. If you want to go and take a look at that, I thought it turned out pretty good. Don't you have a two-tiered hive? Is it? Am I right? That's called an apiary. You have a two-tiered apiary in your yard. I was at Farm Supply a couple of weeks ago, getting feed for my chickens, and I noticed all of their the pre-made hives you can buy in kits to start your own beehive. And I looked at that, and I looked at my daughter, and I went, I think we're going to get it. And she went, I don't think we are. She's like, I think if you buy that, you're in deep trouble. She's probably right. All right, so I'm going to mix up my color over here. So this is going to be a nice mixture of neutral tints and what is this? This is sepia. I get a nice rich color of this. My sepia dries out a bit more than everything else. I haven't figured out why. It's M gram also, but it just dries out a little bit more. Don says, yep, it is an apiary. Yes! I don't know how proud I should be of that. I know where bees live. I think what I'm going to do before I get into painting. Ooh, that's a good bee color. Okay, I know that reference photo is a little more muted than this, but I'm going to give this guy a nice color of yellow. My phone is going off. I don't know what's going on. I like a nice bright yellow bee. You can't wait for the honey. Ooh, honey is really good. And I'm not doing anything special. I'm just trying to make some, I'm not necessarily even following my pencil lines here. I just want to make a jagged line around here. This is all of the hairs. And then I'm going to fill that in. There we go. Let's get some more of this beautiful color here. And this is one of the things you can do as an artist. This is one of the things that's really cool, is that you can take a picture that's kind of, you know, that bee's nice. The bee looks nice, but you know, like somebody turned the chroma down on that just a little bit, I think. Could be a little higher. Well, we have the ability as artists to recognize that we don't want the picture to look quite like that and change it on our own. And I think if I do it right, it's always a big if, granted. If I do it right, it's going to take that picture, which looks, that bee being a little bit of a darker color, makes it look a little, I don't know, less bright outside, less warm, maybe. I don't know, although the background makes it look fairly warm. But we're going to do this, and it's going to make it look like it's a middle of a spring day or a summer day out here, and this bee is just out here foraging around like mad, getting some good nectar to be able to take back to his friends in the hive, make some of that beautiful honey. We just fill that color in a little bit. And if I look at that photo, if I look at that reference photo there, while this is wet, this is a little darker in here. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this burnt umber right all through here. This is a little darker than everywhere else. I'm just going to put in a few dark patches here and there. A little darker down here maybe. I hope I didn't miss my chance to get up there. Drop in some of this color. There we go. This is where I'm worried about it here. Maybe a little bit up here. I don't want a back run in there, but I want that to be a little bit darker. That tucks under the wing there. That dark is going to help that tuck under the wing. And I think I've waited long enough for his body to dry over here. I can start to take our dark now. And I'm going to start all the way down here. And now that I'm looking at this, I can see that I've missed a spot or two. Just totally fine. You can always come back. Nobody's asking art questions, though, or more art questions. I'm a little surprised. Everybody knows my theories on art, or how I paint, or why I paint, I guess, at this point. Actually, I'm always kind of torn. I love having all you guys back every week because I get to know everybody a little bit. That's really kind of makes it fun when you get to know people and you can talk to them week after week after week. But it's fun. It's fun to meet new people too. All right, look, now I'm skipping a segment on his abdomen here. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Already, I haven't done too much and already he's starting to come to life a little bit. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit that with my brush. I'm just going to grab some of this dark black here, and I'm going to drop in a couple of spots. Do I use gouache? Dawn asked, do I use gouache? Sure. Every time I need to do a white highlight, I use gouache. No, the answer is I don't use much gouache. I have some gouache, and when I say some, it's very little. It's not much. I do have some, but I don't use it. Part of what I like is the lightness. I say this um, completely knowing that in a lot of my paintings, I put on way too much pigment and I get things a little too dark. But I love the lightness of watercolors. And while you do get that to some extent with gouache, you also miss out on it to some extent. I know gouache and watercolor are like cousins; they're very closely related, but um, that you in that opaqueness, you just miss out on some of the light, kind of like liltness. I don't know how to describe it. Watercolors just has a slightly different quality. I really like it in watercolors, and I just haven't really ventured that far into trying gouache because, well, because I have something that I really like. So, um, yeah, you don't see yourself using it much. Let's see. I watercolor, but recently bought some with a gift card I got. Okay, all right, that's cool. That's the best time to try something when you get a gift card for it. You love the transparent watercolor. You don't see yourself using it too much. How long have you been watercolor? How long have I been watercoloring? I've been watercoloring for quite a while now. I'm always happy to talk about my watercolor journey. I really started there. I kind of think there are two real starts to my watercolor painting. One, I started 2001, 2002, somewhere in there, as a way to digitalize or undigitalize my life. Right? I work heavily with computers, and I wanted a way to I wanted to find something that I thought was interesting to do, fun to do, that I could manage um, to tune out the digital world after I got home from work. Right? I didn't want to spend that much time. I hear somebody knocking on the wall or something. Didn't want to spend that much time on computers. Right? 8, 10 hours a day I thought was plenty. So I actually went to the computer store at the university I was working at the time, and I said, "Hey, what do you got? Uh, what can I set up quickly? What can I take down quickly? What can I paint with fast? That's kind of cool." And the guy went, "Ah, I got your thing," and we went over, and he set me up with. I just saw him the other day. A set of paint brushes and some paints and a pad of paper. And I went, perfect, thank you. And I would go home and I would paint these little tiny paintings. In the space that this Bumblebee is, I would probably paint 3 or 4 different things. I would paint, tiny, tiny little paintings. And I did that for a number of years until I met the woman that I eventually married, and she was over at my apartment at one point in time and saw some of my paintings, and she went, "Oh, this is good. You should do more of this." And I kind of went, "Yeah, okay, whatever." Well, as things turned out, yes, I know I'm going on with the story. I think you put something else in there, but I'm going on with my story. I'm sorry. Um, we eventually got married and moved to a different town. And in that different town, happens to be the town I live in currently, we had an art fair, and we went to it one weekend. And we walked through, and I started spouting off, oh, as we walked past the watercolors, oh, I could do that, I could do that, I could do that. And it didn't take long for her to go, you know what, I'm over it. If you can do it, do it. If you can't, cork it. And I went, okay, I'll show you. I'm going to do it. And so I did. So my first start with watercolors was, like I said, 2001, 2002-ish, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly when. I don't recall exactly when. And then what I'm calling my real start in watercolors was probably 2006 or 2007, something like that. And that's kind of when I started watercolor painting in earnest. And I would take my paints to work, and I would paint on my lunch hour, and I would do all kinds of stuff. Painting at that point was extremely fun. Not that it isn't now, but it was a lot of fun, and I just did it as much as I can, and it eventually evolved into whatever it is I do now. So that's it. Let's see. Laura says, do I ever use masking fluid? I just usually bought some and haven't tried it yet. Yes, I do use masking fluid from time to time, and I would suggest, I'm glad you asked, that you get one of these little things. These are pretty cheap, and if you can see inside here, maybe there you can see, there's a little crud in there. Well, that's dried up masking fluid. So this is kind of like a fountain pen for masking fluid. You can dial this little thing in and out, and it will bring these little pinchers closer or further apart, and you dip it in the masking fluid, dip, and pull it out, and shoot, you can make beautiful straight lines with this. So yeah, I do use masking fluid. I don't use it all that often, but I do use it. So I try. I will be honest with you. I try to be more of a, I'm going to do this in air quotes, a purist, right? Right. And allow for just the white of the paper to shine through, and I'll take it upon myself to paint around that. But there are lots of times that using masking fluid really helps. I would never tell anybody not to use it. It's in lots of instances it's quite helpful. Yes, I do. I haven't used it in a while, but I do use it. Yes. I don't. You have some silicone brushes. I don't have any silicone brushes. I've lots of brushes. I don't have any silicone brushes. I don't know anything about that. What a perfect way to separate from the digital life. It is until I started doing this. No. It is a good way to break out of, it resets your mind. You can't think about this digitally. I watch, I try to watch art videos and stuff like that from time to time, or I used to watch a lot more of them. And then people are going, oh, have you seen this person do this digital art and that digital art? I'm like, at this point, I can't even watch digital art. It just seems so weird to me. This is so analog, and this is where I really like to see things. So I can't even do that other stuff. Jedi says, never give up on your dreams. Absolutely. Yeah, I would never say give up. It's funny, there were lots of times on my watercolor journey that I thought, oh my God, this is horrible. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I would show my paintings to some people, and they want, you know what? that's not as bad as you think. You're probably being harsher on yourself than you need be. Uh, and I think the best thing that I could say to somebody, certainly, certainly, if you enjoy watercolors, don't give up doing it for any reason. Continue to do it. I don't care if your paintings, if you think your paintings necessarily look good or look bad as you're doing it. Initially, if your paintbrush, I'm going to say it this way, if your paintbrush wants to paint a certain way, go with it. Let it paint that way, right? Let let the brush, let your body tell you the style it wants to paint in. In a lot of ways, I've tried to do that. I've tried to paint really loose. I've tried to paint really tight. I've tried to do this and that, and you can look at a lot of the videos that I have where I've tried to paint in different styles and varying success. And you could say, well, I just didn't stick with it long enough and this and that, and maybe that's true. I don't know, but what I found was I get more out of the enjoyment of painting. Just doing the painting to me is so enjoyable that I become less focused on the end product. And because my opinion, because I'm less focused on the end product and more focused on the process, that the brush does more of the work and the end product comes out better. Right? There's just such a. I used to try to paint and make things. I always say I hate the word, but I used to try to make it perfect. Right? What is perfect? I don't know what perfect is. Perfect is a construct that is made to make us all nuts, right? Because there's no perfection. There's stuff that's good and there's stuff that's maybe not as good, but even the stuff that's really really good that you think is really really good isn't perfect. There's nothing perfect. So once I started saying, okay, I'm just going to enjoy the painting and try to make the way I feel my painting flows, the way I paint, everything started working better for me. Um, let's see. Yes, I see. Nice. Thanks for the tip. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what tip I get. Oh, the tip about the with the liner, the dip pen. I don't know. I don't even know what you call this. A search on Amazon or Google or something. You'll find these all over the place. What kind of masking fluid? Oh, very interesting. The pen for the masking fluid. Yeah. It's cool. If you got to do any straight lines, it's fantastic. And the nice thing about that, this thing, whatever it is, this thing, is that you don't then ruin a paintbrush. You don't have a brush that's got all of that masking fluid all over and whatever. What brand of fluid do you prefer? I've only used one, and that's Winsor Newton. I've had a big bottle of it that I've used for years. Laura says painting is so painting should be relaxing. Painting should be something you do because it's enjoyable, because you have fun with it. Um, and for anybody who's ever going to be a professional artist and do it, you should even more reason why you should have fun with it, because if you don't enjoy it, if it's not fun for you, then holy cow, your job is going to be miserable. I hope who's ever doing it loves it and find it relaxing. It's so nice. Sometimes I come out into the studio here and I'm just like, oh, this is my fortress of solitude. This is my little getaway. And I can paint a little bit here and I can paint a little bit there and I can do this, or I can just grab a scrap and um, I don't know, do whatever, have some fun with it. Yeah, so I was just going to ask if you enjoy more refined painting or loose painting better. I don't. I. I don't. I don't know how to answer that question. Um, I've tried both. I've tried to be super tight. with my painting, and it doesn't always work. I've tried to be super loose, and it doesn't always work. And I'm happy. I'm happy being somewhere in between. And I'm totally fine with that. My paintings will never hang in the Louvre or anything like that. Perfect. I'm totally fine with that because the enjoyment for me, well, I guess there's two bits of it. The enjoyment is in painting it, and then because I don't get all tense about it and things, you know, like I said, I think I paint a little bit better, but then I end up, you know, I end up giving away a lot of my paintings, and just to see the people who get them and really enjoy them. I don't know if I told this story. I recently, it's actually been a year, but it seems like much less than that. But I recently got a new position at work, at my work, and the position I'm in. Well, I guess I should step back. My work place went through a huge reorganization over the past 2 years. And as a result of that reorganization, the group that I worked in is no longer out there. Oh, Michelle is here. Welcome, welcome. And so I was thrust into a different group to work with. Totally fine. I worked in that group for a grand total of, I don't know, a month, 2 months. It wasn't very long. And the powers that be decided that, well, we need to have you know, people in leadership positions. I'm just dropping on, whoops, I should do this out here. I'm just dropping on a few little lines here, right? These are individual hairs. I don't know exactly what direction they go in. I don't know exactly the size they are. It's just there for texture. It doesn't have to be perfect. They don't have to be the right direction. It's a bee. Bees have, I think, like me, right? Bees have wild, crazy hair. So you can drop these in any way that you want. I think they would like that. Anyways, so we went through this reorganization, and a couple of the people that were there, a couple of the managers stood up for me a little bit, and they went, "No, I think this guy should be in more of a leadership position." And I had never asked them to say anything for me. I never knew that they would have ever said anything for me, but they did. And as a thank you, just to kind of be nice, I painted everybody pictures. I asked them, "Hey, what do you like?" I painted them all pictures and presented them with, you know, original artwork that they could hang in their office and whatnot. And just to see their face, like nobody had done anything like that for anybody before. I'm like, well, why not, man? You did something so nice for me. You put me in a position at work that I wouldn't have had the opportunity to be in before, and I got, you know, it makes my job more enjoyable. I'm getting something out of that. I had a great time painting the image, and then I get to see somebody else enjoy it too. So for me, it was a win. I don't know. It was good. How's that? How's that? I was just going to ask if you enjoy. Oh, I already read it. More refined or more loose paintings. I don't know. I still try. Who asked that? Dawn? Is that Dawn? Dawn? I still try to paint a little looser from time to time. I just don't think that I'm ever going to be a quote, right? Let me put that in quotes, a loose painter. I just don't think that's ever going to happen for me. And so while I've tried to incorporate some of that looseness into my painting, I don't typically do a loose painting. So, right, this is how I would say I incorporate some of that. This background that I painted here, you could say that background is painted in a pretty loose style, all wet, all once, right? Blended colors. Look, we've got much yellower here. We've got some greens. We've got some blue. Whoops, got some blues. This is a problem with painting a picture that's this way on a screen that goes this way. I've got blues. I've got yellows. There's much more yellow up here. Some greens over here. So for me, that's one way I introduced a little bit of looseness into my painting. These flowers, right, by putting in that little dab of green on all of those and then just walking away, right? That's allowing that paint to do what it does. That's going to do that in somewhat of a loose manner. So I haven't totally abandoned being a loose painter. I've just kind of incorporated a little bit of that into what I do in how I paint. Right now, going around and painting all of these little bits of, I don't know what, little bits of stem and little bits of everything, and trying to keep right in the box and do things here and do things there. Well, that probably, you could take that and say, I need to get a different brush. That one is not going to work for me. That's maybe a little bit of more of a tight painting style. So I've got a little bit of both in there. I wouldn't say I'm in either world, but probably I've got a little bit of both in there. I find I'm an uptight painter, so I've been exploring loose atmosphere. So it's easy to feel that way, and I try to tell people that's not anything that's wrong. Being a loose painter is a learned thing, right? It's tough to learn to do that. And believe it or not, being a tighter painter is also a learned thing. We don't think about it that way so much, but it's also a learned thing. But here's how you learned to be a tight painter, right? You look at things and you go, this bee needs to be this way. It needs to be just like that. So that sets in your brain how you want to paint that, whether that's good or bad. And in addition to that, in most primary schools, anyways, all of your art teachers are going to go, okay, here, try to replicate this. And you look at it and you go, okay, well, I have to make this image look just like that image. And if you can't, then you tell yourself, it's not right. Excuse me. And so we are self-taught to be again, I'm going to put in air quotes, a tighter painter. And we have to either unlearn to be a tight painter or learn to be a looser painter. So give yourself a little break on painting tight or loose, and maybe try to just incorporate a little bit of one style into the other style instead of trying to do the whole thing. And if that works, awesome. Then you want to keep going down that loose journey, then do a little bit more of your painting loose. And if that works, awesome. Then slowly work your way, teach yourself to get the whole way there. I'll bet you could get there. You could. Right. As I'm looking at this, we've got some catch up to do. I know the wings aren't done, and we've got some other stuff to do here. But I think we can. Whoops! I got stuff falling all over the place. I keep my brushes in a little. It's right down here, just below my palette. I got this little pocket that I can keep my brushes in, and if I don't get them in there, they roll off of there. So let's do this. Let's give a little bit more depth to some of these flowers here. We can't make them pop just a little bit. Let's see. I don't know exactly how these are gonna work, but give it a go and see what's gonna happen with these. I just want to put on a little bit of color here and a little bit of color there. I think these will really start to pop off of here in just about a second or two. And then we're going to come back and we're going to do a little bit more. Oop, I hope I'm not off the screen. We're going to do a little bit more with the petals on here, the leaves on here, the petals. I'm doing the petals right now. Come on, Michael. you gotta get the terminology right. Doing the petals right now. We're gonna come back and do the leaves in a second. Laura, I'm sorry. Dawn, who asked Laura? Didn't? Oh, Dawn. Dawn, is did anything I said about tight and loose painting help you out there? I hope so. If it did nothing else, I hope it gives you pause to think about your view of why you paint a certain way, and if and how you can get to a change, because it's not an easy change. And if you try to make one big jump, it's really difficult. Really hard. I try to tell everybody I'm terrible about this. Everybody goes, "Oh, watercolor painting is so hard. It's so hard." And I always say, "Well, it's difficult, but it's not that hard." And I say that with a little bit of almost a little tongue in cheek, knowing that it's not an easy medium, right? Because you're forced to not only deal with the color and the application, but we as watercolor artists are also forced to deal with the water, right? You don't hear oil painters go, "Oh, well, today my the temperature was such that my oil paints wouldn't dry for 40 minutes, and I got frustrated in trying to do it, and I couldn't regulate the moisture on the page." No, you don't. Oil paints are oil paints. I don't know if anybody. Oops, I'm off. I'm off again. I don't know if anybody out here is an oil painter. I like to make fun of oil painters because I've talked to a few, and they're always like, "Oh, we've got to deal with this and we got to deal with that," and I'm like, "Yeah, you don't have anything to deal with. You got it easy. Your medium is really stable. If you don't like your color, you can paint more color over top of it, and it's super easy. And if I don't like this red, I'm stuck with it because it's a staining color. I don't have a choice at this point. These are going to be red regardless." Right. Let's see. I've done both acrylic and I like watercolor best. Okay, less waste of paint. There is a lot less waste of paint in watercolor. It's funny to me, people will go, "Don't clean your palette. Don't clean, you're going to waste your watercolor paints. Don't clean your palette." And I'm like, "Hey, I've got a tube this size," right? I got a tube this size, and it lasts me 2 years. I can afford to clean my palette every now and again. um, Laura, you tried oil once, not for you. I tend to relate to how you say you paint. Okay, I am all about looseness with washes and underpaintings. Okay. And then you love some glazing. Awesome. The cool thing about watercolors is, and think about this, watercolors really is the only medium that you can paint in any fashion, easily paint. People will tell me, oh, you can do this in other mediums, you can do it in acrylic, you just have to really loosen stuff down. But in watercolors, you can paint in any style you want super easily, right? If you want to be a loose painter, oh, you add more water, you disregarding, no, okay, I don't, there's much more to it than that, but you can paint in a very loose style, and watercolors are very forgiving, and they'll let you do that. And if you want to, yeah, it's very versatile. If you want to paint in a super tight style, well, then you know what you do. You paint in a super tight style. Maybe a little less water is in your future when you're doing that, or going back and back over a few things and making sure that you have that your lines are tight, that everything is setting just exactly the way you want it. Watercolors is an incredibly versatile medium that we don't always give it credit for being. I realized I didn't paint a couple of these. This is one of the things I struggle with. I see there's a line there, and I'm like, well, why did I put a line there? I don't know why I put a line there, but there's a line there. Okay, look, all of a sudden it looks like we have some flowers on here, and all of a sudden, just like that, without doing much of anything really, all of a sudden now, that second layer of paint on here, all these flowers have a lot of depth, right? They look pretty nice on here. This is when everything comes together. A friend of mine told me once that watercolors are the funniest medium because you're going to paint for half of your time and you're going to hate what it looks like. It's going to look terrible. You're going to go, oh, why did I do this? I know I had a plan. I wanted to do this way, and it's not turning out. And you're going to get to the 80% mark, whatever that is for you, and then you're going to start to see the magic happen. You're going to go, oh, all of a sudden, oh my gosh, it's working. It's looking just like I wanted it to. So watercolors are a little fickle, but they're fun, and if you can ever get them worked out, holy cow, they're fantastic. They're so good. I love how light and portable watercolor is, right? To paint plein air, I go to my local coffee shop and paint there. See, Michelle, you're much braver than I am. I get so... I can paint here, and I can have people watch me, and it's to me, it's not a big deal. I always feel a little bad that I spend half of my time with my head down looking at what I'm doing and not up, talking to you all. But I can't go to a coffee shop and sit down and paint because people watch me. And I'm like, can you just back up? I don't want you to see what I'm doing. I will say that, I had to get that. I will say that here, many times, I have been out painting and people will walk past, and instead of, oh, here's the brush I was looking for. Instead of just walking up and standing behind me and painting, they'll stand back a little bit and say, would you mind if I take a look? And I'm always like, wow, that's yeah, absolutely. Come and if you're willing to ask, absolutely, come and take a look. I would love for you to look at it. Okay, so are my wings dry? This is what I'm hoping to do on the wings. So if you look at the wings on there, I know it's a small image, but take a look at those. And the wings down here, at least on this wing on the right hand side, it's much darker down here and it gets lighter up here. The wing on the left is pretty light all the way except for where it crosses over here. So what I'm going to try to do is use my trusty rigger brush here, and I'm going to draw on these veins, okay? And then I'm going to start at the bottom and put a wash on that goes and gets lighter all the way to the top. Right? Fingers crossed. That's gonna work out. Michelle, you pick a table tucked away so nobody can watch you. I don't know where you're at, but holy cow! If I could find a coffee shop with a table, even. Well, I guess I don't know what a normal town is like. Not that mine is abnormal, but the towns around here is it's a big college town, and so there's always kids around, and everybody's in the coffee shops constantly. So I guess maybe I was that way in college. I don't know, but all times of the day, there are just always people everywhere in the coffee shops. I don't understand it. I'm just gonna put. I don't think it matters too much exactly where these lines go. I do want to differentiate this wing from that wing just ever so slightly. Okay, look at that. There we go. All of a sudden, ba-bang, we got we got a couple of what state am I in? I'm in California. Michelle, what are your what travel brushes do you love? I want to know. I want to love some travel brushes. I just don't. I have one by Martini that I really like. Um, it's it's a wonderful travel brush. Folds in on itself, but it's big, and I don't have anything small. Um, it's beautiful. I'm assuming you're saying California is beautiful. Your daughter's here too. California is a wonderful state in a lot of ways. There are probably a few ways it's not as fantastic as other states, but it is I live on the coast, and it really is stunning here. 8, 9 months of the year, it's beautiful. I should say we get, what do we get? 320 days of sun a year, or some such thing as that. I don't know. It's an ungodly amount of sun that we get here. All right, I'm going to try to do this. I think that's. It's an unbelievable amount of days without rain that we get here, which is bad, but the sun is nice. Oh, here, I'll tell you a funny story. And this has to do with the PMP art, the site I was telling you about earlier. I was trying to learn how to paint skies, and I will admit I still don't know how to paint skies. I struggle with skies a great deal. There we go. There's a wing. That to me is a good wing. Good-ish. I don't know, this, I'm going to make this one come over here like this. There we go. A little darker down here. Yeah, that's one wing right there. I can go for that. So I was trying to learn how to paint skies, and I went on to that art site, and I was doing a painting challenge over there, and I don't know what it was, but my painting had a sky in it, and somebody made a comment of, skies aren't just blue, and I went, really? And they went, yeah, you should walk out and look at the sky. Around your house, there's clouds and there's everything. And I walked out and I looked, and I went, I haven't seen a cloud in the sky in 6 months. I'm like, I don't know what you want me to do. We don't get clouds here. Storms go north of us or they go south of us. We just don't get anything. And um, we get fog. Fog is not the same. So I was like, I don't know. I'm never gonna learn how to paint skies because we don't have any clouds. Ours are just blue. I could take my cerulean blue and just go whop, and that's the sky that we have here. I came home earlier this year from work. This sounds so silly, but I was driving home and there were these giant cumulus clouds in the sky. And like I said, we don't get clouds all that often. I came in the door and I told my wife, I was like, "Oh my God, you got to go outside and look to the northeast, yeah, whatever. You got to look. These clouds are unbelievable." And she was like, "I know." I stopped on the way home and looked at it myself. uh, let's see, Michelle, you bought some Rosemary Company brushes, right? Right. I don't have any of theirs, but I've heard fantastic things. And I have some Silver Brush Company and Escoda Versatile. Okay. You're saying this guy's looking good? Thank you. He's getting there. I don't think I'm going to do too much more with him. Um, you like the rosemary brushes? Everybody loves the rosemary brushes. I have not tried them. They're not cheap. Neither is the Escoda. Neither are the Escoda brushes. You want me to send you monsoon clouds? Yes. Yes, bicycle repairman, please. I will take any clouds and or rain that you're willing to send. Absolutely. Um, yes, please send any clouds my way. Okay, you know what I'm going to do here? I actually like this guy. I think he's cute, right? He's got just a little bit of detail here. Not wild about this. We're getting to the end, so I'm kind of doing a little, I don't know, what do you call it? I'm looking to see what I did well and I did bad. Right, you can just see some spines on his legs here. You can see a few up here. I think that's fantastic. This is just an all-surface white pencil here. I probably shouldn't do this, but this is a good cheater for some highlights, right? I'm going to put a highlight there, and I'm going to put a highlight. Is anything wet? I'm going to put a highlight right here. Oh, it broke. Oh, it broke. Put a highlight right there. And anywhere else I can put a little highlight, I'll put one. I'll cover up the line here just a little bit, right? I don't like how that didn't blend quite as nicely in here as I wanted it to. So I'm going to cheat. This is where I would normally use white gouache. I have my white gouache right here. Well, you can't even see it. White right here in my palette. But there are times when this is just easier. And you could do this with a white colored pencil. You can use a white watercolor pencil. You can use anything. This is a general scribe all pencil. It's supposed to write on anything. Doesn't matter. It's just a white pencil. super simple to make highlights with. You know, I've also used pens. The last time I tried the pens, they didn't work so well. So that's just another trick in your bag of things to try. I can send you some rain clouds from Vancouver, please. Like I said, anybody willing to send any rain clouds my way, rain and or clouds my way, I will gladly take them off of your hands. I love the rain. I love clouds. It's fantastic. We just don't get enough of it. Okay, so continuing on with the check of things here, I like this little bit of the wings here, right? This doesn't match in any way, shape, or form the reference photo over there. The wings are too light. They're too veiny. They're where they cross here is not transparent enough. And you know what? I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. They don't look anything like the reference photo, but I've got this hard edge right here. It's a soft color on this side and a little harder on this side. But that little edge just tells you that those are two wings right there and they go up. And to me, that's enough for these wings. I don't need to have to see through them or do anything like that. I look at this and I know those are wings, and that's good enough for me. Laura, you're in Oregon. You get a lot of rain. Send that on my way too. Just send it south down the coast. We'll take it. Send it on down. I wish. Don, use Dr. P.H. Martin's bleed-proof white. That's I know he's got a lot of inks. Is like in a dip pen, or is he having it in a regular pen, or are you using that with a brush? That would be interesting. I've never used Dr. P.H. Martin's stuff either. I don't know that, but that's liquid watercolor. It's not cake. It's not tube. It's liquid. I'm gonna sign this thing. I don't know where I'm gonna sign it. Right about here. There we go. Just get my signature on there. I actually like this guy. I hope I like this guy. I painted him. I think he's adorable. I think this furry part up here really makes it. It just, this jagged edge around there, it looks like there's hair on there. It's just fun. It's just a nice, and you see it's much brighter than the reference photo, and I'm totally fine with that. It's good. Laura, am I on here every Wednesday? I'm on here every Wednesday at 8 Pacific until I'm done. I try, oh my God, I try not to make it an hour and 40 minutes. Honest to God, I try to make it an hour long, and it seems to always take longer. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I'm usually getting a little punchy by this time of the day. But I do this every Wednesday at 8, and that's it. That's all I've got for you guys this evening. It's always hard. Look, I've always got to do this. It's so much easier to do things this way, and it can fit right in there. This way is so hard. I got to keep going up and down with it. Links down below to webpage, social media. What else is down there? I don't know what's Discord link. Glad you didn't miss it. I'm glad you didn't miss it. Also, Michelle, thank you for stopping by. Everybody, Laura, Dawn, Michelle, who else is here? Minty, Thirsty, anybody else who's here? Thank you guys for stopping by. I don't know what other links are down below. I don't know. I think I have some t-shirts down below. I don't know. It's down there. Anyways, you guys can read down there. I will be back online next Wednesday at 8 for another painting. I hope to see you all then. Until then, thank you all for joining me here. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.